Well, we're live. Let's just see if anybody listens, shall we? Hey everyone. It's been a while started since I streamed anything or done anything. I I've been doing stuff like college, which is why I haven't really been doing anything as for Yu-Gi-Oh content or content in general. I've been silent, completely silent, doing what seems to be nothing. Um, I I'm in a weird spot with the game currently. I've been thinking about taking a break from it for a while, but I never really stopped loving Yu-Gi-Oh! It's part of what made me who I am today. So I probably would never quit the game unless, like, it just becomes so outrageously unfun, something like that, that it's just too much. But funny enough, that's one of the reasons why I have started streaming today. I just need to I don't really see many people like going over like, oh hey, this in Yu-Gi-Oh, like, hey, this doesn't seem great and all, but why do you guys keep going, sort of thing. Um, I'm just gonna talk about my personal experiences with Yu-Gi-Oh and what the the possible, I say possible because a lot of people are like, oh hey, this is a problem, and then other people are like, oh no, it's not a problem, this is the real problem, and then vice versa. You have a lot of infighting in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's not for the faint of heart, but so what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna have some duels play out in the background here while I just go over everything. And I don't remember because these are some of the duels from like months back, and I don't remember if some of these people quit. So yeah, I'm going to be going over these for the first time in months as well. So let's see what happens. So I guess the first topic discussion I'm going to have is like the current state of the game. Um, Yu-Gi-Oh's in a weird spot right now. It's basically been the same. I want to say the same format almost anyway for about a year or so, maybe even more. Ever since Tri Brigade got into the format, it's just kind of been, oh, Tri Brigade, Tri Brigade, Tri Brigade, Tri Brigade, and then Drytron, Drytron, Drytron's been there for a while, but like Drytron's had the many shells. You had the Vendread plays. You had that was interesting. Using not the Diviner, the Herald, and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, it's I don't like Drytron anymore. I used to like the idea of it, but it was doomed to fail, I guess, from the start. The whole aspect of summoning ritual monsters without the normal ritual mechanic was more than likely a bad idea. More than it wasn't just more than likely a bad idea. It was a bad idea. You broke they broke rituals, which I guess people are good and all, but okay, sure. Um, I I don't know. Drytron is in a weird spot because of Diviner the Herald. I don't like it in what it's done to Drytron. It's made Drytron insanely powerful. The Mu Beta Fafnir being in the set as well did not help. It just increased the power level even more. Drytron in general is one of the kind of bigger issues in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I don't. uh, Tri Brigade and Drytown have been going on for the format for too long. It's been very stale to play in. The multiple decks you can try and play against them, but 9 times out of 10, if you're playing anything rogue right now, it's just not going to work versus the meta. You have all the people who are like, oh hey, oh, oh yeah, what am I trying to say here? Gather your thoughts, my man. Gather your thoughts. You have these people who are like, oh hey, I love the format. It's so diverse. And then you have the other half to where it's like, I hate this format. It's the same thing, and I'm a part of that one. I'm a part of the argument to where it's super stale. Uh, I just, I'm honestly tired of it. I was hoping the ban list would be relatively good for once, and not be like one of the stale ban lists that we normally get. And wouldn't you know it, that's sort of what happened. And people are like, oh, hey, this was actually a good list because it limited things without killing it. But that's the thing. When is it? When is it too much of a? When is it like not enough sort of thing? When is it? Has the deck been in the format so long to where you just need to murder it? Like, and I'm saying Drytron quite a bit here, but Drytron and Tri Brigade have been in the format for almost the same amount of time. Tri Brigade, it took a little bit for people to catch on that deck had a lot more than meets the eye. But for the most part, they're the sort of the same thing. They've been in the format for around the same time. It's been a long time, and I just sort of think we need a change, if you will, in the decks and the meta, because it's the same thing usually just about every time. It's the same thing. You're always gonna have like, oh, your Tri Brigade, your Drytron, your Virtual Worlds, which Virtual Worlds have been a nuisance for a long time, being the VFD combo deck, and then being regulated to not VD combo deck anymore, VFD combo deck anymore, but there's still quite the oppressive deck with like the macros on the legs that is Shen Shen and everything else. So, I mean, yeah, they're probably not as bad as Drytron, but like they're still. It still has been too long, in my opinion. They've been in the format too long without any significant hits. And the funny thing about Virtual World is they even got buffed with E-Tele, Emergency Teleport, coming to 2 from 1. That gave the deck an actual boost. You gave a deck that was already meta relevant and super strong a boost. And yes, it wasn't like, as both. I hear several people are like, oh, hey, it's not like the most relevant band, but at the same time, yeah, it sort of is. It sort of is relevant because you're giving this deck away into Nyan Nyan again. So, like, you have now, if you're playing, like, say, like, I can't even. I don't even know what the ratio of Nyan Nyan is right now. It's like I think 1-2 or something like that. But basically, you can technically play 5 copies of Nyan Nyan in your deck. That's not cool. That shouldn't be allowed, and yet it is. And all the people who say like, "Oh, hey, that's just the name of the game and everything. You gotta roll with it." When does it become too much? Because if you want to play the game and you want to actually have fun and you don't exactly have all this money, you don't have the money to shell out, why on earth would you decide to try to play meta if, say, you want to go for Drytron? Because I found a Drytron list that was playing a bunch of the staples and everything, and it was all the good stuff. Basically standard Drytron. was about $1,300 or something like that. I am in college currently. I can't really afford much at all, let alone a $1,300 Yu-Gi-Oh deck to dominate the meta with currently, and all of my duels and friends. So I don't. I end up trying to find cheaper strategies that are still good, which in Yu-Gi-Oh right now you find essentially nothing. There's like nothing currently that is budget and good. And I'm not talking about budget as in like $100 plus. That's insanity that people think that's a budget, because money is hard to come by these days, and it's starting to become a bit harder in certain cases. So when I say budget, Yu-Gi-Oh wise, when I say budget, I want to say that the max I want to spend on something is about $50. And that's not one card, $50. I'm talking about the deck. Kit and caboodle, everything, $50. So, when I find out that something like Dragon Link, a deck that I loved playing for a while after VFD was hit, and after LP was hit as well, I still like playing it. Imagine my not really surprise, not really, but it was about $150. And for the time, I was thinking about trying to get it. But I didn't, because that would be crazy to spend that much money on that. So yeah. Um so that's one thing. Next point is the budget itself. We, as the Cali effect would point out, I did see his video. He pointed out that realistically, we haven't had a good structure deck in about 2 years or so. It's about 2 years since we've had like a good structure deck. I think the last one was what, Shadal or something like that. Maybe I know that was 2019. I think it may have been Shadal. That was the last one that was relevant. Um, and it's basically been downhill from there. Like we didn't get the Dragoonity structure deck from the OCG. We didn't get several other the structure decks. I can't remember exactly which ones off the top of my head. I know we didn't get the Dragoonity one though. To where it would have been a legitimate threat, a legitimate like good contender for people to buy to compete in the meta with. But then TCG Co Money was like, "Oh hey, wait a minute, let's just put all the cards from this structure deck into Ghost from the Past because we need to sell this." That's just not fun to gamble on something for cards that you would have been able to get for a round anyway. Now, they could have price gouged this, because a lot of people like to up the price of the more competitive structure decks, but around $30 for three structure decks at start. So, technically speaking, you could have bought, hey, three Dragoonity structure decks, and then you attempted to play. But that's not the way it is anymore. You can't do that anymore. You have to shell out hundreds of dollars in order to have a chance at beating the meta, and then you get beat out by the people who paid about twice as much as you because they can. That's not really a healthy way to play a game. It's not really a great way. It's not how I'd like to play, even. Um, I got into Yu-Gi-Oh because like it was fun, stuff like that. And as you can see, like the dueling book stuff, I played like I didn't even realize that I was playing Fossil in this thing. Um, but like in the oh hey, hello. I'm just talking about like current state of the game, if you will. Well, I'm just talking about the current state of the game while just going over some random, I guess, duels, if you will. Some of these were like 4 months ago. I don't even know exactly what I was playing, but apparently Fossil. I was trying Fossil this time. I just think that we need a structure deck that's actually like meta relevant for once. Like Salamangreat was great, as the Cali would say, the Calific would say. Like LP's banned, and I made more consistent deck. Yeah, I mean LP was LP was dumb only for the fact that it's generic dragons, and I get like the whole thing of like, oh yeah, they brought it back. Everything like they brought dragons to like, ooh yeah, they got these generic dragons that are links and lore. Um, oh yeah, Rocket Structure Deck is amazing. Um, but I think like we haven't had a good structure deck for like 2 years or something like that. And for all those like the Rocket Revolt, the Dino Smashers Fury, the Shaddoll Showdown, all that, people have like upped the prices of that because they're a couple years old now. And they get away with it because it's older products that Konami just doesn't print anymore. So you can't really. Yeah, that's the main, the new cyber style structure deck, if you want to even call it a structure deck, because it's basically a box full of imperm and random cards and nothing else. You get imperm essentially. It's just imperm. That's the only thing it's there for. They're not like trying to like, oh hey, we're getting like these cool cyber dark stuff, and yeah, now you can dominate the meta with like all this good stuff. Two decks of the Rocket Revolt and loved it, but didn't get three sad. Well, I mean, like at the Cyber Dark World. Yeah, I mean, like it is a good card and all for Cyber Darks, but Cyber Darks in general, no matter how many cards you gave it, it more than likely would never have fixed the overall issue that they had. They had a glaring issue in their, original like design. Keelhorn and I can't remember. It's Keelhorn and the other one. Uh, yeah, Keelhorn and I want to say Edge. Yeah, Edge. Keelhorn and Edge. They had an incredibly bad design flaw because they were dark machines that equipped dragons from the grave. That was doomed to fail from the start. Konami trying to fix them, while it was okay, like the cannon and the claw were good, but it wasn't enough. There shouldn't have even tried to fix them. Like I get that they have like some fans and all, but like I mean freaking Ally of Justice has certain fans and you don't see them getting like broken support. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the day where I'm still waiting for the day to where Ally of Justice sits a card to where it's like all your opponent's monsters in their hand and field and graveyard are treated as light monsters. I'm still waiting for that. To make that card, I'm gonna like really like be, oh yeah, this is funny. Still waiting for that. But Cyberdarks were doomed to fail from the start. And it's they shouldn't have like printed in a structure deck. That should have been what they put into Ghosts from the Past, aside from instead of the Dragoonity stuff. But they put the Dragoonity stuff in there because they knew that Ghosts from the Past would not sell. Oh my gosh, thanks for the follow. We have a glaring issue in the game right now when it comes to budget players as well, because a lot of the time what budget players and myself included did would we buy 3 copies of a structure deck, and I did research on mine and I ended up while this was before Endymion and this was before Servant got limited and Electromite got banned, I got the Order of the Spellcasters. I got three of those and ended up buying an Electromite as well, and it was pretty decent. Like it wasn't the best thing, but it was all right. Um, so yeah, it was okay. And then Servant got limited and freaking Electromite got banned, and I was like, well, I'm done with this. Also, Black Metal Dragon is my replacement for LP, and now my deck is hyper consistent. Well, yeah, exactly. Like Black Metal Dragon was ran in normal variants before LP got banned anyway, but like I knew it was seeing less play because you could just summon the Red Eyes Darkness off of the LP. It was that wasn't fun. I also added card Trader haven't tested. Huh. Okay. Um, we have all these like structure decks that let's see. Sacred Beasts, Ice Barriers, if you want to even call that a structure deck in the first place. Spirit Charmers, aka Jumble of Cards, and then Cyber Style. All four of these decks suck. Like I like the Sacred Beast one because they gave it new support, but come on, man. You couldn't have at least tried to make it consistent. Ay, ay, had two, but then on a 3 minute. Yeah. Uh, you could have just tried. You could have at least tried with the Sacred Beast to give him individual support in like a set instead of like giving him a structure deck that tries to make use of all three of them. Because let's face it, the three flipping Sacred Beasts were never meant to be put into the same deck. Lord forbid that they actually work in the same deck. They somewhat do, only because of the new support. Start it with one word. I think what they should have done, funny enough, for the Sacred Beast, because this is where they first started getting the downfall for the structure decks in general, is where I see it. What I feel like they should have done with it is they should have made either three structure decks at the same time with more support for each individual Sacred Beast. Like Raphael gets a bunch of Fiend support, Uriah gets a bunch of Trap support, and then Haman gets a bunch of Spell support, along with the stuff they gave him. They give him that, and then extra. They give him extra, and they give it actual competitive viability, because I believe the best Sacred Beast right now is Haman, only because of the Cerulean Skyfire, which is a negate, and it does not activate. Um, the Haman could have been so much better. Instead, all Haman got was, I believe, the Cerulean Skyfire, and then the openings to the Spirit Gates. That's the only things that you could have like tributed off of that were continuous spells, the new stuff. Um, Uriah got the shaft even more. Okay, structure decks are three, and after a couple duels, I got $20. Okay, two structure decks or 3 pack. Yeah, and a lot of people like would say, "Oh yes, structure decks. That's the way we go." But the problem with the packs is that it's a gamble. You're literally gambling for the cards that you may not even get. You could like say one in the new tins, because I'm getting one of those tins. You could want to pull like, I don't know, your Tri Brigade core, because I believe like every Tri Brigade or something like that is in there from what I remember. So like, yeah, you want to get the Tri Brigade core, but you end up pulling like, say, I don't know, what's another archetype in there? The Agnister. You could end up, instead of pulling the Tri Brigade, you could pull Agnister. You could pull an entire Agnister like core or whatnot, and you were going for a Tri Brigade. So stuff like that, that's not healthy either. To gamble on something that it's not even guaranteed. We've got too many problems as it is with the lackluster ban lists, and Konami not really listening to everybody, and Mystic Mine is still a thing, and I have a personal vendetta against Mystic Mine and stuff like that, but only because is essentially a if you're not playing meta, it's very hard to out unless you're playing a anti-Mystic Mind sort of small package with the Cosmic Cyclones and stuff like that. I've played against decks like that before with like rogue decks. I've played against Mystic Mind Stun a ton of times, and I essentially insta lose because I can't out the mine with my like say Earth Machine deck. I can't out it, and yeah, that was upsetting. But I kept playing Earth Machine at the time because I love the deck, and the Earth Machine variant that in the second episode, AK after a couple duos, I'm not getting another 2 copies of Revolt until up 3 to get started on Black Dragon and White Dragon. Structure deck. Yeah. Funny enough, I actually find it funny that Black Dragon and White Dragon were in multiple structure decks that weren't even dragon based. That was hilarious. Um, I think they were like what in the Felgrand or something like that. They were in the Felgrand structure deck even. Like it was weird. Um, so let's see. So I've gone over structure decks and I've gone over meta in general now. I guess that moves my point onward then. Um, so from I guess from like budget standpoint, I actually found this channel, which is not really a very well known channel, I don't think anyway. Not 1,000 subs on it. It's about almost 900. Um, then work on Chaos Space. Yeah. I believe the channel name was like Alice YGO or something like that. And the only reason I found this channel was because I was looking for Plant Link. I was looking for Plant Link because I wanted to play Plant Link at one point. And I find out that this deck is about $50 or something like that. $50 for the entire deck, not just extra, not just main deck. The entire thing was 50. I had no idea that there was a deck that was that decent, that was that cheap. Um, I ended up finding another one of her videos that was like a Sous Ship Time Thief deck that it was running Utopic Draco Future, which did in fact kind of hurt the pricing by like $20, but it was about $50 as well. You have these decks that are actually quite solid options. They're solid options, but they can't work against the decks to where people shell out, like say for Drytron, $1,000 on staples and stuff like that to like stop the opponent from playing the game. And oh hey, I win because I spent more money on the game than you did. Um, I will say I did find it funny that during that one extravaganza back in April, that Guru player who was the only Guru player in the entire tournament just won the entire thing. Um, that's why, yeah, online for that reason is amazing. But at the same time, I don't feel like that online gets enough attention by like some of the fan base. I feel like that, and there's also cons to online as well. But like online is good. The one issue I have with online is that for some reason it's incredibly toxic right now. The online, I go into duels and about funny enough, Zodiac in general. Whenever I faced a Zoo player before Dryden got banned, they were always like salty. They were some of the saltiest players that I ever came across. It was like whenever you beat their Dryden pass, they would essentially baby rage because hey, their deck can't lose to that. Oh no. And then they just go into this whole I don't know rant about like oh how your cards are stupid and stuff like that. I was playing Code Talkers or something like that because all while you what you play and you can go see an opening and yeah um yeah no you just got yeah basically I remember this one guy who sat on Trident for a turn and I was playing Code Talkers at the time, but I wasn't playing like the extra link Code Talkers. I was playing a slightly different variant, what I call Decode Control, to where essentially I had Decode Talker on the field that was linked to several monsters for target protection, and I just kept ramming into stuff. Well, I ended up outing the Dryden, and he for some reason could not comprehend how I outed the Dryden. Also, if your stupid cards can kill that top tier deck, then maybe that deck is exactly. Um, I remember though. I remember that there was Cynet conflicts the counter trap. I had that set, and the guy was super upset that I took out his one of Mommy Trident. And then, out of nowhere, this guy activates Mystic Mine. And I obviously conflict that because why would I let Mystic Mine hit the board? So I conflict it and I banish it. This guy tries to activate another one, and I say you can't. And he acts confused. I'm like, Cynet conflict. He's like, what? He's like, what do you mean? And then I'm like, dude, Cynet conflicts. And he's like, what are you talking about? He didn't read my stuff. So people are unnecessarily toxic because either A, they just want a free win with their Mystic Mine or something like that, or meta, or B, they just think that their I guess lower tier deck can't lose to anything. And then they get angry when it does lose to something like meta, and they're like, "Oh, hey, meta's dumb," and you shouldn't play meta. And then the meta player's like, "Well, I mean, I'm winning." The game just has quite a few issues. That's one of the main. That's another one of the issues. The whole player base on Dueling Book especially is very toxic and rated. When you go into rated, I honestly think that there's a 50% chance that you'll run into a toxic player. Thankfully for me, the last several times that I tried it, um, I've gotten incredibly lucky with my opponents. They weren't super salty or anything like that. I have seen a couple of people though that were at the beginning I say GL a lot and they just don't reply to it, which gets me a little bit worried because in my experience the people who don't reply to the GL are the ones that are going to be the most salty after you lose. And several times I've actually been proven wrong, but a lot of the times, yeah, I'm kind of right. Either that or they quit, which is no semblance of any reason why they quit. It's just I had this guy that where I played 2 cards and then he quit. Well, that was weird. And then yeah, I had another story to where I won game 1 and the guy just quit as well. He was playing Virtual World and I had enough hand traps to stop him. As such, he was he didn't even say anything, he just quit. I don't know why, but I mean, okay, thanks for the free rating, but I want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't want to not play Yu-Gi-Oh! Can you please allow me to play Yu-Gi-Oh? No? Well, I guess we're done here then. It's I don't know, it's honestly, I said it like Dora the Explorer. They're like, can you find the people that can play Yu-Gi-Oh? No? Oh, well, I guess we gotta go find some then. Ay, ay, ay. But anyway, I ramble on. So, yeah, the meta isn't in the greatest spot. Online's kind of just salty in general. Budget players don't really have a way to get into the game right now with a good deck. I think the cheapest deck right now from the older ones is a Dino Smasher's Fury, and on Amazon I saw that they were selling for $25 or something like that. So I don't know. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, that's essentially, I think that was most of what I wanted to get into on in today's discussion. I needed to kind of get it out. I had too many feelings for this game that I love so much that I just needed to say it. And honestly, I think I probably am going to be making like a a regular streaming schedule for this sort of thing, to where I just kind of talk about the decks in general in depth, and like say, oh yeah, this is what this is what it's made for. This is what the purpose is. This is what it's doing. This is what it's abusing, not abusing, stuff like that. I just wanted to go generic stuff. Um, so yeah. Anyway, um, dang, I can't believe it's this late already. Wow. I've been going on for a little bit longer than what I wanted to, but it's fine. Um, I want to say that like. Also, please tell me this is another fossil tool. uh, I literally shuffled all these up. I shuffled all these up, so I don't even know what I'm playing. Uh, but yeah, I saw the Kali effects thing on structure deck, which got me thinking. That's why I went on the whole structure deck idea, and then I got like I got the budgets ideas from like a lot of these deck profiles. Are like, oh yeah, you play like 3 copies of Forbidden Droplets and 3 copies of Lightning Storm. It's like I can't play that because it's too much money. I actually think that the staples, if we're at a point in the game right now that where if you don't have some of these staples, you just kind of auto lose. Why are these staples not immediately available to us? If they're so important, we can't play the game without them. If they're that important, why on earth are we not able to get playsets of them at a reasonable price? Like, for Forbidden Droplets, for example, I know it's getting a reprint in like what was it, El Dorado or something like that, the new Maxima, the new Gold series set. It's getting a reprint in like El Dorado, I believe. But like there's yeah, exactly. Forbidden Droplets should not be a secret rare, and yet it is. And now it's like what, 80 to over $100 per copy of it? No! Why is this that expensive? It shouldn't be that expensive. Ah, Lightning Storm was a format warping card when it came out in what was the Ignition Assault, where it had a Starlight rare and a secret rare, and that's it. And it was like $300. Yeah, exactly. Savage is hard to pull. Funny enough, Savage is weirdly enough one of the cheaper cards to get now. I think last time I saw it was like $20 or something like that. Whereas something like Lightning Storm is double that. But you shouldn't have to pay $20 for a Savage Dragon. Like, it is so incredibly generic. It is so generic that any deck basically who can make level 8 synchros and uses links can make it. So why on earth is it not readily available to everybody at like a common rarity? Stuff like Forbidden Droplets, Lightning Storm, Dark Ruler No More, which is not much of an expensive card, but it's still kind of up there. Um, all the staples and all the hand traps, the Ash Blossoms especially. Ash Blossoms are like $20 and climbing. Even in the structure deck, Soul Burners are like over $20. It should not be that expensive for a hand trap that is in some cases game like deciding on its own if you hand trap the right thing. And yes, I am in fact playing Mirror Forces here. I have a Mirror Force deck. I was playing this as a troll. I remember this duel now. But anyway, Ash Blossom, Ghost Spells. Ghost Spell is like I want to say $5 or up or something like that for each copy of it. And then you have the budget version of Ghost Spell that's called Skullmeister, which is under $1, and Effect Veilers, which, funny enough, they used to be super cheap, like anybody could afford it. It was basically how you say, the budget man's hand trap. And hilariously enough, I want to say that I can't find any for under $1 anymore. I see stuff for $2. I see like the tournament pack one for about $40, but like if you're playing a tournament pack, like OTS pack, like Effect Failure, what is wrong with you? There's like so many structure decks printing of Effect Failure now, it's not even funny. So Effect Failure, over $1 for Effect Failures. That's coming like 9 structure decks or something like that. Why is something that is coming in 9 structure decks over $1 when Skullmeisters are under $1 and arguably better in certain cases? Like, come on, people. Why are we price gouging these cards to where it's like, yeah, effect failures are good, are still like the cheapest hand trap to buy currently, but I mean, like, if it's had 9 printings and it's still over $1, we kind of have an issue there. But it's not super bad as opposed to Ash Blossom, specifically Ash Blossom, to where it's $20 and it came in a structure deck. And that same structure deck is about $40 now. Probably because, one, it's Salamangreat and it's sort of meta relevant, somewhat. And two, it has Ash Blossom in it, which probably gives it the extra $20 on top of it. Oh, hey, you get a hand trap in here? Price gouge it. Um, all these like stores and like secondhand markets, they just increase it to high heaven, and it's just not fun to like go into a store and like say, "Ooh, hey, what structure decks do you got for me today?" And it's yeah, they'll have the structure decks probably, but more than likely you won't be able to afford them. If you're on something like a college student budget and you just want to play Yu-Gi-Oh for fun, and you can't actually technically play the game well enough to where you can actually like make it say top 16 at a tournament or something like that, there's a problem there. Because like YCS and stuff like that, they're supposed to be about skill. They're not supposed to be about how you say how much money you spend on your cards. Because unless several like extravaganzas I've seen, Drytron has always been in top. I've seen, yeah, Dragoon especially. The Dragoon package in and of itself is like over $100. Um, like the Verte is about 40 to 60. The Dragoon is about 60 and up, and it decides games on its own. Why does this card exist? It shouldn't. I've been I've been an advocate for getting Dragoon banned for a while, and for some reason, it just doesn't happen. I just don't know anymore. Like, okay, so you have this Dragoon here, right? It's supposed to bring Dark Magician and Red Eye players on the map. Let's face it, it's Dark Magician support again. Yeah, it's $100, and then that's not even the worst of it. If you haven't heard about the Evil Hero Malicious Bane package, that'll run you for 2 cards about $250 for 2 cards. 2 cards, everybody, $250. 2. Wow. I, the fact that card prices can get that high is dumb. If it's something from Magician's Force or way back when, Legend of Blue Eyes, original Blue Eyes White Dragon, like what was it, Secret Rare back then? No, it was Ultra, right? Yeah, Ultra Rare card, Ultra Rare Blue Eyes White Dragon. That I get if it would be expensive because it's old. But when stuff came out like last week, that's like $100. That's a problem. Crossout Designator, a big example right there. Yeah, exactly. Crossout Designator. What is it? $70 now, and it was released a couple weeks ago. Crossout Designator, everybody. And like everybody was like, "Oh yes, this card is going to warp the format," and now it's not really being used much. I 100% can guarantee you that card, when people actually start playing it again, it's going to get to $100 price tag. Maybe even more than 100. It could be a forbidden droplet level of price, which is not good to have another one of those cards. The problem with Cross-Out Designator in general is that it helps decks that are weak to hand traps. It helps decks that actually can't play the game because of hand traps, and you want players to shell out $100 for this card. Essentially, it boils down to how much do you want to play the game? Do you want to play it a little bit? Do you want to not play it at all? Or do you want to play? Also, if a card you spend hundreds of dollars on a card, then yeah, exactly. Then it gets banned. And then it just makes people upset because they're like, oh hey, I just spent $100 or something like that on this piece of cardboard, and then you say I can't play it anymore. That is also incredibly stupid. I cannot fathom how people continuously keep up with all these these prices, like the vendors and everything like that. The vendors, they just keep increasing it because they see profit margins. They see profit margins, and then also, I would say Pokemon is the other one. To where like I see all these cards in Pokemon anyway, to where it's like, oh yeah, they used to be like lower tier, and then all of a sudden people were like, oh, wait a minute, this is a collector's game. We can make money off of it. And then all the adults start coming into the children's card game and price gouging it to death. The same thing is happening with Yu-Gi-Oh! Essentially now. We're getting all these people coming in. It's like, oh, hey, wait a minute. People will pay money for these sorts of cards. Let's increase the prices of them. Oh, hey, you want this? Pay me this amount. But wait a minute, that's like double the price that this guy that like the market price is. Yes, but do you want it now? Well, yes, then pay me the money. All right, fine. Ugh, makes me sick sometimes. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up here in a final closing statement, if you will. I've gone on for yeah, it's about 50 minutes I've been going on for. And besides, it's getting a little bit late here. So I'll definitely upload this to YouTube because I haven't uploaded videos since August, and that was when I posted my Chalice Slime monthly deck profile. Oh, that was interesting. That was interesting because that was my first tournament ever that I ever participated in. Um, and I didn't do awful. I still kind of sucked, but I didn't do awful. Um, so yeah, all right, let's get to the closing statement here. Um, to summarize everything, the top decks are still as strong as ever, and they need to be at this point. I actually want Tri Brigade and Drytron to be murdered at this point. They've been in the format too long. Been too long. They need to go. And then Virtual World, it just needs to be deleted entirely. That deck is incredibly powerful, and just get rid of it. I don't care if it's an amazing brick potential. It still has all the end boards that it normally gets to. So no. And then the budget players, they're locked out of the game right now. We need a structure deck. We need a good competitive structure deck. Maybe the Fallen of Albaz one will be okay at best, but we need something. I don't care if it's a TCG only structure deck that's like, I don't know. Say, I guess prank kids even. I hate prank kids. I absolutely hate them. But we need something along those lines to where it's a good, like, I don't know, full on Dragon Link or something like that. Give us the entire Dragon Link package, why don't you? Give us the entire Dragon Link deck in a structure deck and put it up for $10. We need something like that. Sure, they're not going to do it, but I mean, we kind of need it. Budget players are locked out of the game right now by forbidden droplets and stuff like that, which are in and of itself gambles. You either A, pay the hundreds of dollars to get these three cards, or B, you don't pay the hundreds of dollars to get them and you risk it. And then finally, online has its problems and the fan base is incredibly toxic at certain points. And then you just have all these like price gouges that like people think it's an investment or whatnot. Yu-Gi-Oh is not supposed to be an investment. There's a reason why in the abridged series they call it a children's card game, because it literally is a children's card game. This is for children, not for adults to basically make their playground. Anyway, with that, honestly, I think that's about all the points I wanted to make. So yeah, thank you, everyone for coming out. I think I'll let this final duel here play out. I'll let it play out, because it does end up funny. Um, against my Cyber Dragon opponent, which, by the way, can I just say, Cyber Dragons in general, I hate them. Yeah, that's the only points I want to make. Yeah, I was like, freaking Mirror Force Launcher. He popped the Mirror Force and it went Mirror Force Launcher. But yeah, that'll be, I think that'll be it for me for right now. I think that's enough. Um, I'm gonna go over the meta decks in the future. I'm gonna be like, I don't know what I'll call it. I had an idea of like going over like essentially like what's going on with the community this week, what happened at like the tournaments and stuff like that, what's the hot takes, that sort of stuff. And maybe a deck of the week, say its skills, its pros, its cons, what probably needs to be worked on, that sort of stuff. Um I don't know if I'll actually end up doing that because this was more like a thing that I don't know if it's like a one-time thing or not. I do see that nobody currently right now is like making a constant document of all of the essentially like the problem formats in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like people were talking about like, oh yeah, VFD was bad. Like in VFD's format, you heard like, oh yeah, VFD should be banned, and eventually it was. But would you believe me if I told you that I'm hearing people now saying that VFD can come back? They forget how much of an oppressive maniac that card was. They forget. And I just don't really think that that should be allowed for people to forget that VFD was not an oppressive menace. It should be banned. It should still stay banned. And if it comes back, which I doubt it will, the format in and of itself will probably be ruined. And I've heard many people say stuff like, "Oh yeah, this card should get banned. This card should get banned. This card should get banned." But I feel like we should just start hitting the generic negates. You know, like the oh, I don't know, Appaloosa that gets thrown into just about every deck. Dragoon, Vertaven, that sort of stuff. I think that should just get hit. Honestly, just get it out of the game, and then the game becomes a lot healthier. Um, but yeah, I will call it there. It's getting late. I have some dishes to do as well. Ah, college life. It's gotta suck. Um, but yeah, I will fast forward through the rest of the stool, and yeah. Thank you all so much for coming out. This means a lot. I only did this on a whim just because I thought it would be interesting. Um, yeah, I got everything that I probably wanted to get out today. And yeah, the guy. uh, I love this. I love this duel. I had so much stuff set, and this guy is just he couldn't play through it. But yeah. Um, that'll be it. I'll just end it here. I'll chalk this up into a video format later. Um, if you guys have any like questions or stuff like that you want me to comment on, feel free to do it. I'll probably have the video format up tomorrow. I got classes tomorrow, so I'll do it afterwards. Yeah, should be in around the afternoon to where I get it done. So yeah, if any of you have any questions or whatever, and you're watching this as a YouTube video, comment down below. Um, and yeah, I'll also post a link to the Discord server that I'm in currently. It's not in the most active state right now, but we're trying. Got this new format going on in it that we're trying out, to where basically the YouTube like the Yu-Gi-Oh players playing it make the ban lists themselves. So we're trying to see how that turns out, to see if Yu-Gi-Oh players can make a better ban list than Co Money does. Um, so yeah, if that sounds of interest to you, hit me up. I'm down. I'm down for it. Thank you all so much for coming out here again. As always, I guess I'm Digital Duke, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everybody.